Welcome to the Somatic Coaching Academy podcast. I'm Ani Anderson.
And I'm Brian Trzaskos. Join us as we explore the science
and art of trauma-sensitive somatic practices and tools.
Strengthen your practice as a coach, therapist, or holistic professional.
Master the art of motivating even the most challenging clients when you understand how to tap into and unlock your client's complete holistic intelligence.
If you want to learn the most cutting-edge, research-supported skills for personal and professional mastery, you've come to the right place. Let's get this conversation started.
Hi, and welcome to the Somatic Coaching Academy podcast. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning, Ani.
I think I still have my morning frog in my throat.
Morning throat?
Good morning. Yeah. How are you?
Confident.
You're confident?
I'm confident.
Okay. Why?
Because today we are talking about tapping into the endless flow of confidence.
Amazing. Endless flow, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Never ending, unlimited.
Unlimited, ending, endless, never ending, bottomless pit of confidence.
I don't know if bottomless pit goes with confidence. Hey, what episode are we on?
We are at 91, actually.
I'm really excited. We're nearing our 100th episode.
We're getting close.
Yeah.
Close.
Yeah. I'm feeling really confident recently about the podcast, actually, because we're nearing our 100th. We're nearing our 100th episode, and it just feels like, kind of in the flow, like got the groove, like I've got some experience under my belt now, and it feels really good.
Cool.
Yeah. So, hey Brian, what the heck is confidence?
Well, so we're, this is confidence. This is one of the primary reasons. I don't know if it's one of the reasons people tend to hire us anyway as coaches, or if it's just bound up with all the other stuff. But it seems like confidence comes up.
Yeah.
Almost all the time in client sessions, reasons why it comes out somewhere. Like even if they don't say that's the reason why I want to, in the intake form, confidence shows up on the intake form someplace.
Yeah, I think, or in the first sessions or something, right? I think you're right. It might not be the thing that people say they're hiring a coach for, or say they're taking our certification.
Great, exactly, yeah.
For. But it's underneath there. It's kind of a big deal. I have a hunch as to why, but I'm not going to say it yet because I think we're going to talk about it in the middle.
We're going to get there. Yeah. We're going to get there for sure. And, we've done a podcast in the past on imposter syndrome.
We have.
And that,
that's a thing.
That might be a correlate to this podcast as well.
Yep.
Because people talk about imposter syndrome. We talk about how it's named syndrome. I mean, you can go back and listen to that podcast, all the reasons why it's a bugaboo and why it makes Ani's eye twitch. And we even use that word.
I just did it too, right? And I wasn't even trying. Yeah, it does. But I hear people say that actually more often recently than confidence.
Okay.
I have imposter syndrome.
Yeah. And when people say imposter syndrome and I talk to them about that, it always is linked with confidence, right? It comes 100%. Down, well, I'm just not feeling confident sort of thing. So anyway, confidence is the thing. People, when they don't have confidence, they feel like they can't be as engaged in the world. They're not as motivated. They're not as obviously outgoing.
They can't have difficult conversations. They can't have visibility. They can't go for their dreams. They can't ask for a raise, or they can't talk about money.
Yeah, all the things. So confidence is really core to living a really, I'm not even going to say actualized life, because let's go down lower than that. Confidence is actually key, and just being able to support yourself in some ways. And then we can take it up from there. But there's like a base level of confidence that's required to even live really functionally in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right about that. And then there's this kind of evolution of confidence, especially, if you're just going to support yourself, like that's one thing. But then if you're going to go beyond supporting yourself, maybe you're going to have your own business, or you're going to start singing in a band or some kind of hobby pursuit. Like once you start kind of putting yourself out there in the world and getting out of your house, out of the closed door of your apartment or your home and into the world, then that ups the ante, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And the amount of confidence.
Yeah. And you don't even need like 100% confidence to get going to do something, but you need enough confidence to get started with something. Because if you didn't have any confidence at all, you would never try anything new right? We'd never take a chance. We'd never take a risk. We'd never take advantage of opportunities that are presented to us.
Well, I like this idea of the endless flow of confidence because if confidence is unlimited, then we can let go of the idea of like, I'm going to be 100% confident.
Yeah, right. It's not like
Going to get to 100% confidence. So how can you be in the flow of confidence
exactly,
actually is
exactly.
more interesting, I think. But that I think comes up for people because they think I'm not confident. Like it's an on or an off switch,
Hmm.
you
Yeah,
know?
exactly. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like if it's an on or an off switch, and then if you entertain that conversation a little bit more, well, I'm not confident enough. Well, how much confidence do you need? Well, and then right, and they start to kind of percentagize
Mm.
that, well, I need this, I need to be closer to 100%. You're never going to get to 100%.
Mm.
How can you get in the flow of confidence?
Exactly, exactly. So before we start kind of talking about tapping into the endless flow
Yeah,
of confidence, let's talk about
let's go. Let's
confidence.
go
Let's
to the books.
understand what confidence
Let's
is. And of course,
not it
just the way I
down.
roll, this wouldn't be a
Let's
podcast without Brian going to the
definitions.
dictionary
Let's, yeah.
and like pulling up Webster and like what does Webster's dictionary have to say about
What
confidence?
does Webster have
So
to say?
this is interesting. And the reason I like to actually go to the dictionary because oftentimes we think we're talking about something and we all assume that we're talking about the same thing
But we're not.
until we look at the definition and go, "Oh, that isn't what I realized we were talking
The
about."
dictionary is like the coolest thing ever, by the
Yeah.
way.
So
How
it's
cool
almost
is that?
like we need to carry a pocket version of the dictionary around. We're having a conversation with anybody to say,
What are
let's look
you
up what we're
talking about?
really talking about, sort of thing. So when I looked up confidence in the dictionary, got some definitions right here. So
A lot
I've
of
got a lot.
definitions,
Well,
by
this
the
is
way.
interesting.
I
Why?
thought that was kind of
It's
interesting.
already interesting. So confidence, a feeling of self-assurance,
A feeling.
a feeling of self-assurance arising from one's appreciation of one's own abilities or qualities.
I love the word appreciation.
Mhm.
And then one's own abilities or
Qualities.
qualities,
Okay.
which means you've got to kind of know something about yourself.
Hmm.
That's a fantastic definition. I really like that
Interesting,
one.
right?
Yep.
And let's go further. A feeling or consciousness of one's powers or of reliance on one's circumstances.
Okay. Like the power and the consciousness.
Right. So, yeah. So, yeah. So that
I
was
think the circumstances is kind of interesting.
right. You have confidence in the circumstances,
Sure.
potentially. And so, an example of that is someone had perfect confidence in her ability to succeed. They put little like phrases or examples underneath. So someone who had confidence in her ability to succeed is an example of that.
Mhm.
What else we have? Faith or
Ooh,
belief
faith or belief,
that one will act in a right, proper, or effective way.
right and proper, huh?
In other words, to have
Oh, okay.
confidence in a leader.
Oh, yeah, all
Right.
right.
So you can have
Confidence
confidence in
in
a leader. So that's faith or belief that someone will act in a right, proper, or effective way.
yeah, so that's like confidence in. Yeah,
Right. But it's still the word confidence. Like I looked up
sure. There's
confidence.
so many great
This is why it's
words
interesting.
within these
Right.
definitions.
Confidence. Think of all the different ways it can be used. And I
Yes.
hadn't thought about that until I saw the definition. I'm like, wow. So let's keep going.
Okay.
The quality or state of
State.
being certain.
Oh,
And here's the example. They had every confidence of success.
okay. Yeah. State of being certain.
State of being certain. Okay.
Okay, that's good.
So far we have, I don't want to go back and read them all
Yeah, yeah.
because it'll take us forever. Anyway, here we go. The next one is a relation of trust or intimacy.
Huh.
He took his friend
Yeah.
into his confidence.
Yeah. Okay, that's usually not, I think, how people are thinking of it, but it's the same word.
It's the same word,
Yeah.
which means that it carries with it the energy of all
Sure.
of these definitions,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Intimacy, trust,
Hmm. Okay.
relation.
What else we got? Reliance on another's discretion. And
What's
here's the
that?
example. Their story was told in the strictest confidence.
Okay, that's kind of like the one before.
So you take somebody into their confidence, um, you know,
What's the other one?
your
Most
discretion,
who's
reliance on
discretion.
discretion,
Okay.
that
Yep.
they're going to be in confidence.
Sure.
How
That
about
trust and intimacy.
trust, intimacy? How about this one? Support, especially in a legislative body. They took a vote of confidence.
Oh, interesting. Huh. Yeah.
Interesting, right?
Yeah.
And then the last one is a communication made in confidence. So a secret,
Oh, kind of like the other trust and
right?
discretion, intimacy thing.
So, in other words, she accused him of betraying a confidence.
Oh, okay. I don't know that I've ever heard it used quite like that.
Yeah. So it's
But I see how it's like the
right.
other.
So if I asked you to keep something in confidence and then you betrayed my confidence,
So fascinating because half of the definitions are kind of like how people talk about confidence all the time,
Mhm.
about them being confident. And literally half of the definitions are this idea of like the secret, the trust, the intimacy kind of thing.
Right.
That's really
Interesting.
interesting.
So when I looked at all those definitions, so just the way I was processing it was like, what's the commonality? Or if there was the theme for all these definitions without using the word confidence, because confidence is the word, I thought, what's the theme? And for me, the theme is around a sense of certainty.
Okay. So can I tell you why I think you say that?
Sure.
Because the certainty issue kind of comes up in those first half of the definitions about me feeling certain, that
Hmm.
kind of thing.
Yep.
But the other definitions are like I'm certain that we're gonna have a relationship or keep a secret
Yes.
or that kind of thing. So that's kind of
Or if
interesting.
we take a vote of confidence in a
That
legislative body, we have we're certain that they're going to
yeah,
move forward in the way we think they're going to move forward, or right. There's some type of certainty associated with the sense of confidence.
sure.
I think that for me, when I look at all those definitions, that's the theme that links all of them together.
Hmm. Is it a synonym? I'm assuming.
Oh, I did not look up the synonyms of confidence to see if certainty was a synonym of confidence. But that's a good thing to do, maybe on a break.
Okay, that's really interesting. So why did you want to find the theme?
Well, that's just the way I work.
Oh, okay.
I just
Just
because whenever
curious.
I see like lots of separate kind of ideas or issues, I'm always just naturally going to what integrates, puts them all together.
Mm.
This is the way I function.
Yeah, I I agree with you 100% about the certainty. And before you said that word, I was thinking about I couldn't put a word on it, but something about like something we either want to keep hidden or have seen, or because there's this element of when I don't feel like I have confidence that somebody might find something out about me.
Mm, mm.
Where and similarly with the other definitions of confidence, there's like this kind of secret kind of thing like brewing in there. So I was kind of toying with that because I think one of the biggest reasons that people don't feel confident is they think kind of subconsciously really that people or somebody is going to find out something about them that they don't want them to find out. And as it's coming out of my mouth, Brian, you know what that is
Mm.
most of the time? It's their core limiting belief.
Hmm.
They're afraid that people are going to find out about them, their core limiting belief that they're so identified with. They don't usually know that, it's subconscious.
Hmm.
But when you come into a better relationship with understanding your core expression, your core limiter, and how to like really be in relationship with that so you can choose your core expression, actually is way easier to be confident because your system, your physiology isn't constantly telling you your core limiting belief stories.
Mm. Yeah. And so I can, from what I hear, what you're describing, and I agree with you, do you think that that would give people a lack of certainty in their life?
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
So I'm just kind of coming back
Yeah.
around and double checking. Does
I'm
that
all about the
theme
certainty.
make sense? The confidence?
Yeah, and I think that as I'm playing this scenario out with how people are either usually coming from their core limitation or their core expression, well, first of all, there's going to be a lack of certainty when we ping pong back and forth.
Correct.
Our
Exactly. Yeah.
being, right? Coming from my core limiter, I'm coming from my core expression, or I'm not really I sure what those things are.
Hmm.
Because then we don't know, which lends to the uncertainty. But when I'm certain what my core limiters are, I'm certain what my core expression is, and I can tell the difference about whether I'm coming from this one or that one, I actually kind of have way more certainty. And then I will be confident and not have this subconscious thing going on about afraid people are going to find something out about me.
Yeah. So as you're talking, I was thinking about coming into doing this podcast around confidence as well. And one of the reasons why I think people lose confidence, which I think speaks to what you're talking about, is that I think people just forget who they really are. I mean, who they really, really are.
Right.
I mean, when we talk about core expression, core limiters, when we talk about like who people really are, one of the things that we know and we teach and we work with is the truth that everyone is born with a purpose. And the
Hmm.
reason I say it's a truth with like a capital T truth is because everything in nature has a purpose. If you look out in nature, like nothing in nature doesn't have a purpose. Now we might not always like the purpose, we might not always agree with the purpose, but everything in nature has a purpose. And when Mother Nature doesn't need anything anymore, then it goes away because there's no more kind of purpose for it, or something else is filled in that purpose niche. So if you're here on the planet as a human, you have a purpose for being here, just like everything else in nature.
I'm thinking about the bat that was hiding under our umbrella out on the porch yesterday.
Mhm.
And I hate bats, man.
But they have a purpose.
They have a purpose,
Hmm.
especially around here.
Eat all the
Go
bugs
eat
and
the
the yeah,
bugs
eat the
and
bugs and the
stuff.
mosquitoes and that kind of stuff. And
Yep,
it would
yep.
be a lot buggier without bats. Want to
Whew, it's
let you know.
already buggy.
Yeah.
Do black flies have a purpose? Oh no, I'm not going to get down that
Yes, to be
tangent.
eaten by bats. Okay. So and we talk about that core purpose as an acorn. That's kind of the metaphor that we use. Like we're all born with an acorn. And what happens as we go through life is, especially early life, like we just get a bunch of garbage piled on top of that acorn.
I just want to talk about the acorn for just a second
Okay.
because if somebody's listening to this, they've never heard us talk before, they're going to be like, what the hell is that? The idea with the acorn is that the blueprint for the oak tree lives in the acorn. It looks different, right? It's this teeny tiny acorn, but the huge oak tree blueprint lives in the acorn, and we all have a success blueprint inside of us to become whoever we're going to be. So
Yeah,
that's the deal
that's the
with
acorn.
the
Yeah,
acorn.
so that's the metaphor. So we're all born with that acorn, right? We're all born with our own unique success blueprint, the way that we are meant to be most fully ourselves in the world. And oftentimes, when we are growing up, we learn all kinds of things in contrast to that. We learn things about, we're taught things about ourselves that aren't necessarily true because they're taught to us by the people we live with, or the society we're in, or the culture we're enmeshed in, or the times that we're living in, that basically just cover up our acorn with all these limiting beliefs
Conditioning.
and conditioning. And those limiting beliefs are then held in place with limiting emotions, emotions like fear, right? Emotions like guilt and shame and grief. And so those emotions hold those limiting patterns in place, just literally suffocating the acorn. And that's why we're really not truly confident in the world, because our most certain states, like to live in a full certainty in our life, is to live in a full expression of our purpose and our reason for being here.
So you were talking about the importance of knowing who you are
Yeah.
and knowing your purpose. One of the things that I was thinking at the beginning as we were starting, when I said I'll, probably come out in the middle, I think is similar to what you're saying. Um, I was going to say that I think a lot of people aren't really um, truly, I'm going to say in touch with themselves. It's not exactly what I mean in body, mind, and spirit.
Mhm.
We know we have a body. We don't really like it or understand it all that much. We know we have a mind. We don't always like that or understand that all that much. And then we think we might have a spirit. We're not sure. Like that could get kind of sticky. And so once we start putting those pieces together, body, mind, and spirit, then we can actually have more confidence. And I'm relating that to what you were saying about purpose, because to me, purpose goes with that spiritual nature, spiritual aspect. We're not talking about religion, we're talking about like something greater than us,
Mhm.
and how each of us is connected to whatever is greater than us, and each of us is in relationship not only to that but to each other,
Mhm.
just like the bat and the
Mhm.
mosquitoes, so that spiritual kind of thing, none of my clients come in and say, I want to know my spiritual nature. Well, I don't know, I think I might have had one. But
Mhm.
but like students will come in all the time and hear us talk and say, I can't wait to learn with you because what you're talking about is the missing piece. And we've talked to people a number of times. What are you talking about? That missing piece? Like, what is that missing piece? What are you missing? But I think it's actually that purpose slash body mind spirit integration, really, that is what people are talking about.
Yeah. So to have that confidence, to really be fully in confidence, we have to feel integrated between body, mind, and spirit, right? That has
Right.
to be a part of it. And yet we can see that can feel like a huge chasm between where we feel like we are now and how to do that. Because we were born with a purpose and we were taught all these things, and all these limiting beliefs buried our acorn. And then we have all these difficult and limiting emotions that hold those beliefs in place, that confirm
The
that we're not good enough, we're not safe, all those kinds of things that come in play. And of course, you have the anger, the grief, the sadness, all those things, and the shame. Um, just kind of hold that in place. So what do we do? I mean, so part of the question is, how do we bridge that gap? Because we can build confidence incrementally by going out and trying things
getting
and getting
experience,
enough repetition at it
right?
and doing it again and
Looking
again
at
and
the
again and again and
skill
again,
building,
right?
yeah,
I mean, so we can build confidence incrementally
sure,
that way. And that's great because
yeah,
it's important to do that. So you could build confidence in one area or one skill,
right.
right? And then go build confidence in another skill, and then go build confidence in another skill. And hey, that's great, but it's going to take a really, really long time. So how do we like really exponentially leap this thing and just tap into the endless flow of confidence? That's what we want to talk about. And so for me, it comes back to this idea of the certainty again. So if we want to develop confidence, which AKA certainty, there's a link to certainty there, then we have to find a way to connect with certainty in our real life. And we've talked about this on lots of other podcasts, but the only thing that we could ever be 100% certain about at any given time are the natural laws.
Right.
That those natural laws, they are the exemplar, the manifestation of the whatever it is of certainty. They are 100% certain all of the time. You can't argue with them. You cannot manipulate them. They don't care about what you think about them. They are like, just again, think about gravity for a moment. Gravity does not care what we think about it. Gravity is just keep doing what gravity does all the time. And we can try to defy gravity, and that doesn't work. We can try to change gravity, that doesn't work. It's going on constantly. So there's so much certainty around gravity. And when we can start to tap into the natural laws and understand the natural laws, that's where we can actually start to activate our own core purpose again, reconnect with who we really are, and really begin tapping into that flow of endless confidence.
Right. I think a lot of people think in order to be confident, they need to have that certainty with themselves, Brian.
Mm.
But how can you really? Because we're operating from our subconscious all the time. And so our acorn is giving us information, our conditioning is giving us information. And the more you know about your subconscious, the more you can navigate that. But really, uh, the turmoil that I have seen some clients and students go through when they feel like they can't be certain in themselves.
Mm.
And it's actually a really good sign to get to a place where you're questioning that, because you're starting to release the things that are keeping you stuck,
Yeah.
actually. But it can be kind of a disconcerting place. Or the attachment that, I've seen with some students or clients that are really trying to grasp onto certainty, either with themselves or with somebody else in their lives, including one of us, but the natural laws are the thing really to be tapping into
Exactly.
because
Yeah.
that's the thing you can actually be certain about. Because
Exactly.
they're not it's not based on perception. Like all if we're gonna be certain about another human being, that's impossible because we're always looking through a perceptual lens.
Mhm.
So you just can't.
Yeah. So when we really want to develop our own certainty and confidence in our local experience as humans, right? Because as humans, we're living on multiple planes, as you pointed out, right? We're living on a physical plane as humans, but we're also have emotions. We're living on these mental emotional planes. We're also potentially connected to something larger than ourselves. So as humans, we're living on all three of these planes: body, mind, spirit, all the time, and we're usually not confident in our local selves and our local emotional selves. Because is spirit ever not confident? No, spirit's always confident.
Yeah,
It's a,
spirit's
it's
fine.
a part of the natural law. Spirit is fine.
Yeah. It's
Right.
funny sometimes I hear people say I got to heal my spirit. And I think, from my perspective, it's more heal my relationship to spirit.
Mhm.
Spirit's okay.
Spirit's fine. Yeah, spirit's never sick. I mean,
Yeah,
spirit is always spirit,
spirit's good.
sort of thing. So how do we actually go about doing this? So we're talking about certainty. We're talking about tapping into the natural laws. And of course, here we are at the Somatic Coaching Academy, and what we do here is we practice embodying the natural laws. I really feel that all the work we've done around confidence in particular is you can't think your way to confidence. You just can't do it. You can't intellectualize, rationalize, think your way to confidence. I've seen people try, it doesn't work.
You might be able to do it for a short amount of time, but it's not a sustainable, like change the way I relate to my entire life kind of thing.
Right. Well, again, you
That
might
incremental thing.
incremental, right? You might be
Right.
able to incrementalize yourself to more confidence through intellectual action, which isn't even action, right? Because action happens in the body. So it's not like everything's ever intellectual anyway. And at the same time, when you embody the natural laws, that's when everything changes in your life because
Because
now
you
you're
just,
changing it at the core.
yeah, and they just are, and you just know it, and it just is.
Yeah.
Right. That's that interesting thing about embodiment. We were doing a speaking engagement this weekend and making a little joke about embodiment. Like you just know it. Like it just is.
Yeah. Just is.
It's the water you're swimming in.
Imagine having the same or tapping into the same energy that a tree taps into when it grows. I mean, trees aren't afraid of growing. Trees have all the confidence to grow up, 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 as tall as they are genetically predisposed to grow. I mean, all trees grow at different, grow to different heights, but they all keep growing. We were hiking a couple weeks ago, and do you remember that tree was growing out of that rock?
Yeah, I do. That was really cool.
It was a big tree
Yeah.
that was growing out of a rock.
Yeah. I don't even know how that happened. Like I was trying to figure it out in my head. Like, did the tree grow and then the rock came up underneath of it? Did the tree grow over the rock? Like how? What?
Confidence.
It was, yeah.
That tree wasn't like, well, I don't
There's a
know.
rock
There's a
here.
rock
It's kind
here.
of
I'm
big.
not
It's really big.
sure if I can do it.
I shouldn't. There's
Maybe,
another tree over
yeah,
there. It's not on
I'm
the
not sure on the rock. Yeah, that tree's, no. The energy that flows through the tree, like somehow
grew on the rock.
the seed got planted on top of that or in a crack in that rock
Can,
and
can,
it just grew.
can we just say here too, we're not talking about a rock. We're talking about a
It was a
boulder.
boulder.
It was
Yeah.
way bigger than us. Like it was
It was
huge.
an erratic. For those of you who do geo studies, it was an erratic in the middle of the wood mountains. It was like the size,
With a tree on top of
maybe a
it.
car, right? It was like the size of a big
Yeah.
truck,
Yeah.
maybe
Big
two
truck.
big truck.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's a big boulder.
Yeah.
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 And a tree is growing out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, anyway. So that energy, imagine if you could tap into that energy, the energy of a tree that grows out of a rock. It's always flowing. It's always flowing.
Flowing is a fantastic word because as I heard you say that and we're talking about a rock, I'm thinking about these ideas about being relentless and pushing because, I've heard that. I'm sure we all have out there, and I've read books about it, and I've been told I should be like that. And it's exhausting and it takes so much energy, and you burn out and you hurt things and all of those things. We're talking about getting in the flow.
Mhm. In the flow. in the
It's
flow.
different.
And so embodying the natural laws is really about, again, you have to have body, mind, spirit as a part of happening with it. So we've put together a practice that we do with our students and our clients, right? Confidence building practice that actually reorganizes how the chakras function. The
Bioenergy.
bioenergy
Yeah.
that moves through the body, it's paired with, well, there's movements and there's mantras that go along with it. And it's really based in helping to rebuild the developmental aspects of the chakras. Because that's really, if you want to think about how we lose our confidence from a bioenergetics perspective, it's like when we're all born with a purpose, and then we come into the world and we start growing as babies, and then we're around people who are teaching us things. And each phase of our life is matched to developmental growth processes in our bodies.
Right.
And those developmental growth processes, they're happening at the same time that we're soaking up all the information around us. So what we're soaking up around us is literally getting kind of baked in, woven in to our developmental processes as we go through like reflexive processes. So if you've ever had a baby or if you've watched babies, right, they go from being not able to move around very much to being able to roll over and then being able to push themselves up on their elbows, and then to being able to crawl, and then being able to walk, right? That's what I mean by developmental processes. And that process means that nerves are developing in order to help the baby do those movements. So are the muscles. So their whole neuromuscular system is changing and adapting and developing through their early years in life. So when you study the chakras developmentally, you start to understand that certain periods of life neurodevelopmentally are matched with certain messaging that we get from our parents, our caregivers, our culture as we go through life. And you can start to understand how the chakras are mapped to belief systems, as well as limiting beliefs, limiting emotions, those types of challenges, and they get literally baked and wired into the body. So when we talk about tapping into the natural flow of confidence, you have to have a way to begin using your body differently to go back and reorganize some of those early I can't even say it, developmental patterns, right? Neurodevelopmental patterns. And then also match those up with taking in new belief systems so that you go out and take new action in the world in order to get a new result, which feeds back that level of certainty.
Right. I just want to point out, because you're talking about chakras, and probably a lot of people listening have done chakra work. We're not talking about doing the chakra mantra and a chakra meditation from a purely energetic level. What you're talking about is the integration of our physiology,
Mhm.
meaning our muscles, meaning the things that create action in our body,
Mhm.
pairing that with the energetics of the
Yes.
chakras, because there's a difference. And I think that's one of the things that's really lacking out there in terms of how people develop confidence, because you could do chakra meditations all day long. But if you don't get out there and actualize through action, nothing's going to happen. So the idea of pairing the movement with the muscles
Mhm.
that are developing with the energetics is where the magic meets.
Yes.
It's that balance. It's not just getting into action purely. It's not just getting into the energetics purely. It's marrying the action and the energetics. And that's what really creates sustainable results.
Yeah. And so woven into these movement systems and these mantra systems and the bioenergetics are the natural laws, right? They're woven in. So we're literally proving
The
to
natural laws.
ourselves in our bodies the natural laws. So as we do that, we're embodying the natural law processes. The natural laws like the law of relativity, the law of polarity, the law of more life, the law of perpetual transmutation of energy. Some of those laws we've talked about in past podcasts. If you want to have really true confidence and tap in to the limitless flow of confidence, which is all around us, by the way. It's not confidence isn't something we have, it's something we tap into. Just like the trees and the plants and everything taps into the same source of energy. That is confidence. And when we can tap into that, that confidence just moves through us and we can go out and act in the world, grow in the world, become whatever and whoever we want to become in the world, and really let our true core purpose, our true core expression express itself. Let our acorn really grow and be who we're meant to be in the world. And when people do that, they change, Ani. right? You look at them and they change, and they no longer go through the world like protecting themselves from the world. They go through the world expressing themselves in the world. And they literally like own, hey, I'm an oak tree and I'm going to stop trying to be a pine tree. Like I'm going to own that I'm an oak tree, and I never have to make any kind of excuses for it. Never have to defend it.
No
Never have to give
defending, no
people reasons
excuses.
why I'm an oak tree. And they really can get behind that, and all the shakiness around that goes away. People really live some really, really amazing lives when they step into that.
Yeah, yeah, it's really remarkable to watch that transformation happen. And it's easier than learning intellectually about the natural laws because that'll take you years and years. The embodiment practices you can get and just do and just be. And you don't even have to understand intellectually all the nitty gritties about it because it'll just take you forever to learn it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
So there we are. So tapping into the endless flow of confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah, these practices have, I do these practices regularly. They've meant so much to me in my life and helped me to take chances and risks and move forward and have it reflected back to me of the opportunities for growth. It's really been pretty transformative for me in my life.
Yeah, it's awesome. Well, thanks for sharing all that. I really appreciated all the definition stuff about confidence because I'm taking a deep breath. I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta say it. You were right. It's on recording. Looking at the definitions of that was really super powerful to be able to have a greater understanding about the true core meaning so that we could have a conversation about what's going on instead of just having it be kind of an ego led or like individual nature kind of very it's a very kind of closed small conversation actually around confidence. This was able to have more breath to it, which is really great and stemming from those definitions. So that was great.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I'll keep them coming.
Oh, I'm sure you will. And if you like definitions, join us next time because I'm sure there'll be more. Thanks for joining us for this episode, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to this episode. We hope that this conversation will help you improve your practice and change the way you think about your work, your clients, and yourself.
Continue your exploration of trauma-sensitive somatic coaching by listening to more podcast episodes at somaticcoachingacademy.com. You could be the trusted guide that people turn to help them with their most challenging situations and to reach their most precious goals. Thank you for joining us.
We'll see you next time.